This is Will. You're being recorded.
Oh, it's okay.
All right, so I'm advanced training Will. He's a great guy. Very knowledgeable high school senior, but he acts way more mature than the average high school senior. And what's great about him is what's great about you, I'll just say it to you, is just your eagerness to learn, your excitement for growth and knowledge. You know, that's inspiring to me because it's like, all right, this guy really understands and appreciates, expansion of comfort zone and all those things. It's really cool. And it's good to have a conversation with you because I know that you get it, so I'm enlivened by it. It's like me trying to imagine I teach my nephew who's 5 months old, try to teach him things. It's like, all right, I don't think he's getting this stuff. I wouldn't be very inspired for very long if that were the case. Anyway, so I'm teaching him a concept here. I guess I can hold it like this and write. Why don't you record?
I gotcha.
Yeah, word. All right, so we're using a concept here. All right, so now I'll just talk to you, Will, and people can, we'll record as I'm talking to you, basically. You know what I mean? So the idea, Will, to summarize what we were just talking about is, and this is, there's a value to be added by what we expect, right? So what we expect, inevitably, the idea is that we'll get results, right, to match up with it because we love to be right. And we've reviewed this before. So considering we love to be right, or at least assuming that that is the case, because this is all just assumptions to begin with, but if you are going to play by these rules here, we love to be right as humans. So therefore, if we have an expectation or prediction, we're going to cause the results to match up with that. And that's subconsciously or consciously. So we expect something, we decide something, and then our body consciously, subconsciously will take action to then get results the same as that. So I guess based on this, the only way to therefore change results is to change what?
Expectations.
Yeah, exactly. But if we're not aware of the expectation, then we have no ability to change anything. So in that lies the breakdown or the issue is that we really don't know what we expect. They exist, the decisions exist, but we're so often making decisions, we have thoughts constantly flowing through our brain that we stop to pay attention to them. So I'm beginning with that because we want to come up with a system that we can use to be able to, at any given time, pinpoint our expectation. So if we use, so then that's how this whole thing came about, to let's pay attention to what surprises. So it's the concept of surprise, right? So we get results, right, that occurs, and the idea would be to take a look at whether that surprised us or didn't surprise us. So if you had a service, so in this particular case, you sell pieces to somebody, right? So I sold pieces, that's the result. And then the question is, did that surprise you or didn't that surprise you? And so if I ask you, hey, Will, did that surprise you? And if you're being truthful, the answer would be probably not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, whoa, like a double take, like, really?
Yeah, which it should have been.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to what it could be. You're okay. In a second. That's a whole other conversation. Don't should on yourself.
Okay.
Okay. You know what I mean? You want to take a look at what you want and what it could be, So ultimately, because there's a difference between what we want. Well, it doesn't, not always. But a lot of times there's a difference between what we say we want or what we want versus what we expect. And that's another concept to kind of get the hang of. And this happens a lot with like fitness and well-being because people say they want to lose weight, but their expectation about themselves is they can't lose weight.
Yeah.
Or they're lazy or they're just, it's impossible, okay? So that would be a great example of what they say they want versus what they truly expect. And again, unless we get in touch with what we expect, because that's what's calling the shots, the decision that we've already made, the expectation that we have. So just start to pay attention. So in this case, you sold pieces, and then I go, hey, Will, does that surprise you? And you're like, well, no, not really. And so because it doesn't surprise you, that means you can then conclude that you were expecting that result. So then you could just phrase it as, therefore, I am expecting to sell pieces when I do demos. So that's one way to have access to it. Now, if something did surprise you, you'd be like, yeah, it totally surprised me. I was like, what the heck? Where did that come from? I go, okay, well, because it surprised you, that means you were expecting the opposite. Yeah. So you're either going to, if it doesn't surprise you, you were expecting it. That's kind of summing this up. If it does surprise you, then you're expecting the opposite. So in that lies the test we can use to get in touch with our original expectation. So now what needs to occur in order for your results to change would be to change your expectation of selling sets to people. The way that's going to occur is for you yourself to be able to kind of be sold on the reasons why it makes sense to assume a set would be sold. So there's different things we can do. We can come up with 1 or 2 liners for you to use. We could talk about why it makes sense for somebody to get a set. Why is it in their best interest? Why is it logical? Why is it emotional? All those things. Because ultimately you can then say, you know what, I've now made up my mind that it makes sense. People will buy sets. And then that way on your next demo, you go sell a set, you're like, yeah, that's what I was expecting. So like I go, does that surprise you? You just sold the set? No. Okay, good. That's why you sold it. All right? And then if it surprises you still, right? You know what I mean? Like, oh, I sold pieces, or if you sell pieces again, and it doesn't surprise you, then it means we weren't thorough or effective enough at getting you to change your expectation. So it's like dating or schoolwork or anything. You know what I mean? I just came up with my sister recently, which is interesting because she has a view that holidays suck and are chaotic. It was Mother's Day. And I go, Christina, consider that was your expectation, and it makes sense that you would find a way to have the holiday go crappy and do something. You know what I mean? Whoa, gravity.
Reflexes.
Yeah. Boom. Ninja. So I talked to her about it, and she's like, no, but Joe, I woke up in the morning, I said it's going to go differently. I go, I get that I get you wanted it to change. But I go, Christina, let me come about this from a different way. And I go, let me ask you this. The fact that this day is not going the way you want it to, are you surprised right now? And she was honest. I'm glad she was. She was like, yeah, no, I'm not really surprised by that. I go, that tells you that although you changed what you wanted, like you were at least somewhat aware of the desire being shifted, it means you still expected it to go crappy. And so you haven't really given yourself permission to change your mind, which maybe you need evidence, because that's another system we could use, which I was just kind of brainstorming, is so this is a system to be able to pinpoint the expectation we have. Let's come up with another system to be able to change the expectation. So for her to change the expectation, she'd have to be able to kind of understand why the day would go well. And ultimately, to me at least, what allows for us to change our expectation is just knowing that when we change our mind, it's a simple, that goes back to decision versus choice we talked about.